Very good morning, viewers, and welcome to another episode of our NK Conversations. Now, these conversations we have been having over a period of the last 3 months, especially since the lockdown started. And the purpose, of course, as you've already listened in the past, is to enlighten you about various aspects of life, from the economy to your health. In the last 3 months, I think you have been eating home food. You've also been putting on weight. I'm not sure about that, but we'll check it out. I'm here to tickle your taste buds, and I'm also here to check your weighing scale. But I can't do it alone. I'm not competent enough. And therefore, with me today is ShonaPrabhu. She's an expert on this, weight gain and nutrition. So how to keep yourself healthy during the lockdown and after it. And I've invited her to my show, and she has consented to be here. She's actually the founder of Nutrify My Diet. And her profile says Nutritionist with a contagious attitude. Now, contagious is not a good word in the COVID period, but she's got a contagious attitude to keep learning and evolving continuously. And she takes you on that journey when she learns about nutrition. Now, what moved her to start it? Because she loves working with people and keeping them in the pink of health. So that's why she's here on the show. And my friends, please listen carefully to what she has to say. Now, she says in her intro that there's a great return on investment in healthy living. And that's true, whichever way you look at it. Now, since inception, Nutrify My Diet has worked with junior, national and Olympic level athletes from multiple sporting disciplines. And even if you're not a sportsman, if you're just an ordinary person like me, we need to eat healthy, we need to stay healthy. So, nutrition is an important part of that journey. Now, few of their clients include Inspire Institute of Sports of JSW, National Women and Men's and Women's Hockey Teams, Net Kalapa Aquatics Center, and Rohan Bopanna Tennis Academy. The Bangalore Football Club and the Pogart sisters have also been a part of her client team. Now, she has an impressive resume. But today, it's us ordinary people, you and me, who are going to learn a lot. How to be healthy individuals and contribute to a better world on this planet. So, Shona, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Brian, for having me on.
Now, stay home, stay safe was a slogan during the lockdown.
Yes.
But you also needed to stay healthy. You needed to eat healthy. You needed to stay stable with your weight, maybe even lose a little by doing some exercise or even eating or going on a diet. But I'll come to that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask Shona, what is healthy eating, especially during the time you are locked inside your house? When you are going out, obviously you will visit a restaurant, but when you are locked inside your house, what's healthy eating?
Yeah, so, when we speak about healthy eating, it's one including more natural foods, right? So you cut down on the processed foods and you eat more natural. Also, it's important to include all different food groups. By that, I mean, we're eating cereals, which is, a staple like rice, chapati, all of that. But also fruits, vegetables, nuts, pulses. So need to have like a balance of different food groups coming in to give our body all the nutrition it requires. And most importantly is eating at the right time, uh, because by getting that out of schedule, like our bodies just go out of whack, right? So eating at the right time and also the amount, because when we're sitting at home whole day, it's very easy for us to just keep eating without thinking about it much, because that's one of the main things, and we have access to food all the time. So the amount sort of goes haywire, but these would be the four main points I would focus on when I talk about healthy eating.
Okay, is there a difference between healthy eating and a diet?
Oh, a lot. Okay, so when we're talking about a diet, right? Uh, for everyone, it always comes with an expiry date, isn't it? Like you think of a diet with an expiry date, so it's going to end at some time. But if you think about starting to eat healthy, it doesn't end. It's something that you keep adding on and continuing for the rest of your life. So that's the main difference. And with the diet, I don't like the first three letters of it, so I never use it. Or and again, because of that, it has always a negative sort of tone to it, right? No one likes to be on a diet, but when you think about healthy eating, it's always with positivity, and you can see yourself doing some things that are more natural and stuff that you would continue. So even in the company, we don't say diet plans at all. It's always a nutrition plan, and that's the way we start.
And the spelling is the key.
Yes.
And when you're sitting at home, as you said, you've got access to food.
Yeah.
Now getting up from your chair and walking to the fridge is in itself
Yes.
a small exercise. Does that help?
Uh, it definitely helps, provided you choose the right things from your fridge.
Okay.
So, if I can blindfold somebody and they know where exactly to get their, things that tickle their taste buds, like you said, then probably that's not the best time to walk towards your fridge or your cabinet or wherever the food is kept. But yes, while you're at home, I think some sort of movement, just walking around, is definitely important, but to maybe a different place of the house.
Probably the balcony.
Yeah, there's so much of, there's so many birds and nature, and the skies are blue, and there's so much of a difference that most of us, at least, those of us who are in the city, are definitely noticing a lot more. So yeah, balcony is a great spot.
Okay, now just tell me, just for the our viewers' interest, how did you get into this journey of nutrition, or how did you become a nutritionist?
Yeah. So I think one part of it you just covered in the introduction is I like working with people. So I like being around people. And I always wanted to do something that, um, I could give back to the community in some way. I think as a child, I always had that kind of nature. And, and I was also interested in food. So I think the turning point where I kind of realized was when I'd gone to the US. So my parents sent me on a holiday for 3 months, and this was almost 20 years ago. But uh, then I just saw that everything was so different there. Like people were already conscious about the oil, they were reading nutrition labels, they were cooking more healthy, and I got kind of exposed to all of that. And then when I came back to India, it was like a very different, scene at home. I mean, that's where the interest sort of generated towards food. I liked cooking, and then I think I could just marry the two. My love for food, and then giving back and working with people. So I just found I didn't think of it very. Um, I didn't know I wanted to become a nutritionist unless until I uh, stepped on the course by chance and um, found out there were these courses. But yeah, all that sort of fit in, and I started nutrifying my diet. That
Okay,
from that angle, yeah.
I just wanted to ask you a personal question. Like now, you're a nutritionist, but are you a nutritionist also at home? Do you insist your parents eat what they should eat, and your husband or your family?
Well, I do my best to do that whenever I can, and at least the approach I take is not by constantly nagging, right? But by showing and practicing it at home. So maybe when you do little things like that, indirectly you're communicating the message. You're showing people how it can be done. So I don't do the nagging approach, but I definitely create that environment where we can eat healthy and choose healthier foods. So happy
So,
with that.
so what? So I from what you're saying, I can gather one thing for sure. If there's one person in the family who picks up the points that you're talking about today and
Mhm.
practices them at home, I think the rest of the family will get to it in some time.
Yes, it's like what do you say? I don't think domino effect is the right word, but you know what I mean. Like it just bounces back. Like whatever you do, kind of then gets some people of the family will pick on it, maybe not at that moment, but in time. And for it to be sustainable, everyone in the family has to do it, so it's good. So you have to start somewhere, and small steps are like the easiest things to start with.
St. Aloysius College, Autonomous, Mangaluru. A premier higher educational institution with excellent credentials for the last 140 years, offering diverse, interdisciplinary, cutting-edge curriculum, proudly announces online applications, online interviews, and online admissions to all UG and PG programs, taking into consideration the corona pandemic. For online applications, visit www.staloysius.edu.in and submit your application following all the guidelines. Join the great tradition. Be an Aloysian.
The very fact that you used the word domino, my mind went back to Domino's pizza. So, so I just come back to a more serious question.
I'm giving you a good opener for your next question. So.
Yeah, and that is the question. Actually, when you say nutrition, taste buds don't agree with the word nutrition.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And is it, is it okay to eat in a restaurant once in a way, just to satisfy your taste buds, or is nutritious food also tasty?
Well, I would like to, say that nutritious food is definitely tasty, and it's how you look at it, right? How you approach your food. So also when you're eating in restaurants, it's not just to satisfy your taste buds. There's a social component also that's included with that. It's like you're enjoying a meal with the family, you're enjoying the ambience, you're eating out. It's a social activity. So it's not just for your taste buds. And so that's important. I myself go to restaurants and enjoy food that's out there, and so many people are making interesting cuisines and dishes, so it's important to taste. That's also part of life, but at the same time we're focusing on making sure we're eating more healthier and more at home, and not just depending on food outside all the time, because then you're not really getting nutrition into your body, right? But having said that, nutritious food can be tasty, and it is, of course. And that's something that we help our clients understand. So I'll give you a small example. So say, for example, you can go and order butter chicken, right? That's everyone's favorite. But at the same time, people also enjoy tandoori chicken, chicken tikka, more tandoor-based items, and that is a healthier way of enjoying chicken, eating it, but not compromising on your taste buds.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Now, when we think of salads, most people associate nutrition again or dieting and all of that. But even if you take that salad, add nuts into it, add some fruit into it, make it more lively, colorful. Salads don't have to always be tomato, carrot, and cucumber, onion cut. You can do so many things with it. Instead of maybe, choosing something like, say, a very sugary drink, you can always make like a fruit milkshake. Mangoes are in season, so you can make a mango milkshake to kind of quench your thirst. But so there's lots of nice things you can do with your food once you understand how to play around with it. So that's what we do as, say, professionals in this field, help you transition from thinking nutrition is just about starving, eating, tasteless food, eating small quantities, and all of those negative, emotions that we feel with it. We transition you to something that's more accepting, fun, and things that you can see yourself do, eating. So that statement that nutritious food is healthy, and it can be tasty, is actually very true.
I accept that, and probably in the last couple of months, sitting at home, I've seen people who never used to cook before actually go to the kitchen and come out with some really tasty dishes, which I'm seeing on the WhatsApp. Everybody likes to show what they've cooked nowadays, and they've gotten so much used to home cooking. I don't know if they'll visit a restaurant in the near future.
Yeah, I think it's it's something that I'm really happy about, because I think cooking is a survival skill that everybody should learn, gender neutral, right? And I've grown up in a family where everybody participates in the kitchen and cooking, and so do my, it's the same with my in-laws and other family members. So it's nice to have people understand what goes into preparation of the meals and all of that. So uh, it's great. Yes, on the flip side, maybe restaurants might have to find different opportunities of how they can connect with their uh, uh, say clientele again. Maybe it's going to be more about takeaways and healthier options on the menu, right? Which which might get people to come back there again. But like, at least for me as well, I have because being from Mangalore, at least in my household, there's not too much focus on vegetables. Right? I mean, we have vegetables with our meals, but I think you can also relate to the fact that they're just like sautéed in onion and maybe garlic and mustard. So we don't really do much with our vegetables. So I've taken this period during the lockdown to really explore like all the vegetables I haven't cooked with, and foods that I have maybe not experimented with before. Doing this also for all the kids that work with us. So we have a lot of children that come to work with us, and athletes who are between the age of say 12 to 18. And one thing that we always advocate, and during our nutrition plans, is to get them to learn 3 dishes to cook, because it has to start young. And they were all pretty excited. So I think if given the opportunity, a lot of people uh, will find cooking therapeutic. And like I said, it's a survival skill. So wherever you go, the fact that I also liked to cook has helped me stay in shape, because I left home, when I was 15 or 16 years old to go for higher education, and I've never stayed at home ever since. But I've been able to stay in shape, and that's because I learned to cook early on, and that's taken me a long way. So
Yeah, I mean, teaching the kids to cook is a very good thing, but you also need to teach them to clean up after the cooking.
yeah, obviously, make your mess and tidy up.
Yeah, that was in the lighter vein. But juices versus fruits, which is better?
Definitely a fruit, and I'll tell you why. You have teeth for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? It's so that you can chew. If we had to just swallow everything, then we probably didn't need our teeth. Right? So nature has given us teeth for a reason, so that we chew our food. And by eating a fruit, we use our jaw muscles and our teeth well. And also, when I talk to my clients, I always give them this example. Like, okay, let me ask you, Brian, if you had to make orange juice,
Yeah.
okay, a glass of orange juice, it would be about 3 or 4 oranges that you'd need to make a glass of orange juice. But if you had to eat oranges as a snack or sometime during the day, you'd never eat 3 or 4 oranges at a time, because by the time you chew it, bite it, nature's designed it in a way that you get full with 1 or 2. Obviously, if you've not eaten anything through the day, then you can eat 3, 4 oranges at a time, but otherwise you can't. So when you drink fruit juice, you're getting a lot of fruit at one time. So you may think, okay, that's the best way to get so much fruit in, but this comes without fiber. So if you don't have fiber, then that fruit juice raises your blood sugar levels, to an extent that is not good for the body. And you tend to also get a lot more sugar than you would have actually got just eating the orange. So that much fruit sugar at a time is not good for the body, right? So always go in for a fruit, because it's the most healthiest way to consume it.
That I've got 2 questions flowing from that. One is, you eat the fruits before the meal or after the meal? Which is, I mean, I've read a lot. Many say that you should eat it before the meal, and some say you should eat it after the meal. But which is right?
Well, I would say eat it in between meals. to get the best out of your fruit, eat it as a snack in between. And that would be the best way to do it. So in India, a lot of us have the habit of eating banana or apple, after a meal, like lunch or dinner. And that's not the best time for your fruit to get absorbed into the body. So snacking would be the best time to do so.
Electrical Point, the largest showroom in coastal Karnataka for decorative lights, LED fittings, fans, switches, wires, and water heaters. Visit our showroom for the lowest prices and quality products. Electrical Point, near Bunts Hostel, Kadri Road, Bangalore 3. Okay, and I'm sure you worked with the children who love junk food.
Yes.
And I don't know why they use the word junk. I mean, it's food after all.
Yeah.
But what is happening is that there's a TV in front of you, there's a mobile in your hand, and you have junk food in your hand too, or in your lap.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to weight gain. It leads to binge eating. I don't know how does it. How do you deal with these things?
Well, the easiest solution is not to have it at home. It's very common human nature that if you know that it's at home, you will find ways and means to get to it, right? But think about a situation where you don't have junk food at home. You're still sitting with your laptop and your TV on. If you don't have it, you will make a better choice. You have to make a better choice. Maybe that choice is forgetting about that thought that came into your mind to eat junk food, or you just find a healthier option then. So here there is the idea is not about, okay, what junk food to really choose. It's about preventing that from happening. Like I said, everyone, knows where the junk food is, even if they're blindfolded at home. So it shouldn't be so accessible that you can just go and grab it anytime, anywhere, from the house.
But what's a healthy snack? Let's say I want a snack. I'm hungry. I'm a growing adolescent. What's a healthy snack?
If picturing you like that is right now conjuring different images, but I you can have puffed rice. You call this is bhel. I don't know what the other name is. You say murmura. These are different Indian names, but so puffed rice can just be roasted and had. You can have there's something called makhana, which not many people know of. It's used a lot in North India, but lotus seeds. It's desi popcorn. Okay, you get it available, and it's just these white color round balls, which have the texture of thermocol when you buy it from the packet. But once you make it, roast it a little, they become like popcorn. You can always have dry fruits and nuts. You could do, for growing children, these sundals, or boiled chanas with a little tatka on it is a good snack. And if you're craving something very savory or junky, there are options available in the market which are more baked, which are with less fat. So because after all, they're all packaged, but you can still choose the better evil out of those. So we have those options as well. So you can do that. And otherwise, nuts, I find, for me, is the most satisfying option because it fills me up and it also gives me that crunch. So
the cheapest option in nuts is groundnut. Is that okay, or
groundnuts are fine for most people, other than those who have the condition of hypothyroidism or high uric acid levels. Maybe those two medical conditions might not do well with peanuts or groundnuts because it interferes with the functioning of the thyroid gland. But otherwise, again, using peanuts and that puffed rice, a lot of people make that as a combination as well. So you can go in for that.
Okay. But mostly people like to dip their hand into the packet.
They do. And if you, that's another thing. It's a good, it's a good thing you brought up, because if you sit with a packet, then you will end up finishing it, because nuts are addictive like that. So always take the portion that you need, in a bowl or something like that, so that you know that you finished that portion and you're done with that. If you, it's the same with chocolate, right? Now,
Yeah.
someone could just eat a whole bar of chocolate. If they're craving something sweet and you give them a big bar of chocolate, there's more probability that they'll just finish the bar. But if you're craving something sweet and you have these chutku or small chocolates, that might do the trick as well. So portion size is very important when you're, eating healthy and going about your foods.
Sure, you have a lot of clients, and you've come across all kinds of shapes and sizes and stuff like that. So can you just, from your experience, without of course disclosing any facts, tell us about one case where you've handled maybe an obese child, or you've changed the way a person is eating,
Yes.
and just tell us how you did it and how that person responded.
Yeah, okay. That's a good example to give. And so there was this one adolescent child that came in, because there was a lot of, again, overweight, and food choices were not the best, right? And when we did the consultation, figured out two things. One is the environment around food was not conducive to the kid. For example, you want them to, eat healthy, but there's no healthy food at home. So how is the kid going to have healthy food, right? Or you don't want the kid to eat a certain food, but the parents are eating it. So again, it's going to make it very difficult. So the first thing is getting everyone on board. Number one, uh, getting the family to understand that it's okay to indulge sometimes, and it's sometimes necessary, because uh, it just adds different. Adds some excitement. It adds variety to your regular food. And the next thing is really helping uh, the family and uh, the child itself understanding their food. Now, how many of us really know, when we eat our breakfast, what is protein, what is carbohydrate, what is fiber, right? And unless we understand our food, it's going to be very difficult to make those choices. When do I choose protein? When do I choose carbohydrate? What's the best for me at this time? So educating the child and parents made them very aware of their food. And then obviously, very important fact is to really work with what they like to eat. Now, when we have clients at the clinic, we don't have a set nutrition plan. And we don't say, okay, this is what you need to eat, this is the portion, this is the time, and send them back. It's really understanding, what makes them happy, what foods make them happy, uh, and then putting these foods in that nutrition plan. So for this kid, for example, they like potatoes, right? But as a snack, but maybe instead of doing, French fries, we did more like a sauteed, like just semi-fried. So you're getting half the oil into it. They like sandwiches, but bread is not good and whatever, so they weren't getting sandwiches. But instead of eating sandwich just with butter and jam, we got them to add make it like a vegetable sandwich, like a mint chutney sandwich. Again, they were doing a lot of aerated drinks, right? Because it's in the fridge all the time. You're thirsty, instead of water, go and have Pepsi. But instead, the kid actually liked buttermilk, uh, liked milkshakes. So by doing these things, uh, first is he got motivated to actually, he saw results, right? Like the weight was dropping. He was actually enjoying eating, which he didn't otherwise, because the environment at home was, don't eat this. Then the next day it's like, okay, you can eat a little. So very confusing thoughts for the child. And after a period of time, when he started enjoying the foods, automatically the child wanted to do it. And that is the trick. Once you get the child on board, then there's nothing stopping that child from making good choices. So it was a slow process, but in that we figure out, the energy levels improve drastically, right? Because one, making good choices, and also eating, and with the weight loss you feel more agile, active, uh, focus in school. Okay, this was another main thing, because the mother just said, I don't know what's happened, but the grades have improved over the last 3 months. Because instead of eating junk food where your brain can't really concentrate, now you're nourishing it and eating healthy, grades improve, which means no fights anymore, no trouble learning, better concentration. So that is something I didn't expect actually from the program, because it was something that happened as a result of doing all this. So it was a very interesting family to work with, but I think we did succeed in
one of the offshoots of dropping weight and uh, going on a healthy, I wouldn't use the word diet, but healthy nutritious food is
Yeah.
is actually your self-esteem goes up, and that's one of the prime reasons that you perform better.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you want to feel good about your
Yeah.
body,
Yes.
feel comfortable in it. And once you're able to get that, then it's just an automatic wheel that keeps turning in your favor.
Yeah.
ನಮ್ಮ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಗೆ ಬರುವಾಗ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯನ್ನು ಹೊರಗಿನ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನಿಂಗನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಜ್ವರದ ಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳಿದ್ದರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಉಬ್ಬಸದಂಥ ಲಕ್ಷಣಗಳಿದ್ದರೆ, ಅವರು ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಇತ್ಯಾದಿ ಒಂದು ಡಿಟೇಲ್ ಆದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಇಂಟರ್ವ್ಯೂವನ್ನು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ರೋಗಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತು ರೋಗಿಯ ಜೊತೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದವರಿಗೂ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಸಂಶಯ ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ದ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೊರರೋಗಿ ವಿಭಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಾಗಿ ರೋಗಿಗಳನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸುವಾಗ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ N95 ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಶೀಲ್ಡ್ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿ ರೋಗಿಗಳನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ರೋಗಿಯನ್ನು ಮುಟ್ಟಿದ ನಂತರ ನಮ್ಮ ಗ್ಲೌಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ.
I just wanted to come to a slightly different population where, let's say you're going to office, you're say in your 30s, 40s, you're going to office. Nowadays, of course, many of people are now working from home, but the stress levels are pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, they pay you well, but they expect a lot from you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start working, when that stress starts to eat you up, you start eating. Sometimes it's called stress eating, as something that I've heard of. I've seen it also. It's also called binge eating sometimes. There's a difference between the two, I guess. But what is your take on all this?
So, I think, see, food is the most comforting thing sometimes when people are stressed, because it can't talk back, it can't fight, and that's why you just take whatever food you want, and it comforts you, right? But again, the stress is going to keep coming back. So what we generally advise the people we work with is figure out what else you can respond when there's a stress buster, not stress buster, actually stressor, right? Because food, though it might be the most easiest option, uh, most of us know that it's not really the healthiest, because when you're stressed out, you're not going to make logical decisions saying, oh, let me eat a carrot, let me eat an apple. It's not going to go. So the main thing is, you've got to figure out how else you can respond to a stressor. And for some people, it could just be breathing deeply, right? For some, it could be just going out, taking a small walk, calling a friend, maybe even uh, doing a lot of yoga, because we notice that during yoga, people are able to dive within, understand their bodies a little better, deal with uh, breathing and calming their systems, more. So it could be lots of different things. So the first response is not food. Figure out what else you could do. So you have to do this mental preparation. Like, think about a situation where you don't have food. You're in that stressful situation, but there's no access to food. What would you do? Right? And there are lots of there are lots of things. For everyone who's in this situation, the first thing is breathe. Take some deep breaths, and if you still feel like that, do it. Music is another great stress buster. So there are lots of things, and so again, binge eating could be as a result of stress, or just because uh, you know there is something that's causing them to do that, and the something has to be addressed, and not what food can I eat in these situations always. That's not the answer every time. So
Okay, I have generally covered all the categories of human beings, but there are two special categories. One is people, I mean, women who are pregnant,
yeah.
and the elderly, say above 60, 65, or 70.
Yes.
These two special kinds of people in our society, what would you advise them?
So I think when if let's say just before pregnancy, if I can go there, before pregnancy, it's important to first get into your ideal weight or come closer to that, because you don't want to get into pregnancy being overweight if you can better that situation. Right? Because anyway, during the pregnancy, you will gain weight, and at that point, you have to allow your body to do its natural process. So first, when you're planning your pregnancy, make sure that your health parameters are in check, and especially with your weight and all of that. Also, there's a family history of diabetes, hypothyroidism, blood pressure, because these can develop during pregnancy. Okay, so now when during the pregnancy stage, there are 3 trimesters. So during the first trimester, it's important that you don't have to double the quantity of food. So that was a more ancient practice, that eat for two, and you don't put on as much weight in the first trimester. So you don't really have to eat for two. Just eat your normal foods, but the nutrient composition of your foods have to be very dense. So eating again like a wide variety of different foods, focusing on folate-rich foods, which comes from green leafy vegetables, pulses, papayas. All these are important in the first trimester. Right? When you move on to the second and the third trimester, it's just about continuing what you did in the first trimester, and I think protein needs, calcium needs, all of this might increase a little more. Right? From a nutrition standpoint, uh, for pregnant women, the extra calorie requirement might just be about 500 calories. Okay, now what that means practically is probably just 2 or 3 chapatis more, or say 3 bananas more. So it's not doubling of food. Right? I'm just giving you a perspective of what 500 calories might look like. Right? Or say a glass of milk, a big banana, and 1 chapati, or 1 bowl of rice. So it's only that much more that you need to have. But just make sure that it is throughout your pregnancy, you're eating 2 fruits per day minimum. You're eating vegetables with every meal. You're eating protein with every meal, because that's the basis of eating during pregnancy. Okay, and the second one, you asked me about elderly
Yeah,
population.
yeah, the elderly population, yes.
Yeah. Again, for the elderly population, I think, um, focusing on protein at that point would be my first target. Okay. And the reason for this is, I think most of us will experience or have experienced is, as you grow older, you don't have to do much. The fat starts to just become your best friend. Right. And then you wonder why this is happening, because as we grow older, our bodies tend to lose muscle mass unless you're doing exercise and eating the right foods, which includes protein. So, protein rich foods could be egg, milk, curd. And a lot of elderly people tend to, wean off these foods because it's only for like the younger days or children. And these foods are important to kind of bring back into the diet. On the coastal side, for those who are eating fish and, those are great protein sources to include. But otherwise, having this is important. And usually the elderly population also start to suffer from, indigestion, constipation, these tummy issues. So fruits again, or oats or green leafy vegetables, these are great for this age group.
And as you grow older, it's even more difficult to bite. That is another issue, I think.
Yes, I think it can be true in some instances. But I don't always agree with that, because there's some older folks that love eating, and they don't have any problem biting the foods that they enjoy eating, right? It's only when obviously if you've eaten a certain way for years together, you wouldn't like someone to come and just change the way you're eating. So then there's some resistance that comes in the way. But yeah, if there is an issue biting, you can always choose foods that are cooked a little more. Like, for example, if you don't find it easy to digest a salad, you can always eat vegetables that are slightly more steamed or cooked, or just include the vegetable. Okay, sometimes we don't even include that, right? Like, it's something that I see in my own family. Like, when we're eating a meal together, I'm the one who will make the salad and come, or will make the vegetable, because there'll always be maybe 2 or 3 non-vegetarian varieties, and like one poor little vegetable hiding in the corner there. Right? So we don't even focus on eating that vegetable. So just whether it's steamed or added to a curry that you're making, which makes it easier to bite, just do that. Also another thing I'd like to highlight is, when you're older and maybe living by yourself, cooking elaborate meals without your family members will become a challenge. You can't you don't want to be in the kitchen the whole day just cooking for 1 or 2 people, right? So make meals that incorporate everything. So for example, if someone's making a dal, you can always add spinach into it or vegetables into it and make a full meal. So it becomes dal with rice, dal with spinach and then rice. So it's all three taken care of. If you still want to go one more step and make your life even more easier, just put all of these 3 things in a pressure cooker and it becomes something called khichdi, right?
Not my favorite.
Yeah, not your favorite, but maybe 20 years down the line, if you have to do all your cooking, it might become your go-to food. You never know,
Yeah.
right? But what I'm saying is, like, it will be soft to bite. It'll have all the nutrition in it, and you could probably, and then learn to enjoy it. Sometimes beggars can't be choosers, so you just have to um, understand that at different phases of your life, you need to adapt and eat differently, right? Everyone keeps asking me this thing, like, 10 years back, I could eat anything and my body could take it. Right now, I eat the same thing and I'm just gaining weight and gaining weight. So everyone expects that what they ate in their prime, or when they were younger, is what they can eat now. But our bodies don't function like that. Um, like, if you think about the clothes you wear, the devices you use, the house you stayed in, everything has changed decade after decade, right? Maybe not the houses as much unless you move places, but it changes. But you can't expect to eat the same food and have your body respond in the same way. So it's important to keep changing, and at some point, you know, uh, consult a nutritionist. Like, at this point, there's so many available, whether it is through technology, like booking a session online, whether it's going in person, but really understanding what you're eating is very important.
Okay. I think we have covered a wide range of topics in this conversation.
We did.
I've taken you from the personal to the professional and back to the personal. And one last question I have is for our viewers basically. Any 2 or 3 tips that you would like to give?
So one, if you haven't, cooked before, even though the opportunities have presented themselves, please do that. Okay, start with something small. Uh, Next, embrace natural foods, like in their whole form, in their natural form. Our taste buds really renew themselves every 3 weeks. Okay, so what tastes you may have not liked maybe a few weeks ago, once you start making that habit and familiarizing yourself with that habit, then it becomes, your taste buds will renew, so it becomes easier to follow that. And next is, just have like a balance of the amount of sugars you eat. Like, this is the point I'd like to, maybe just end with, is a lot of us eat a lot of sugar in hidden forms and ways that we don't identify. And just a very simple example I could give you is someone who's just having 4 or 5 teas because there are meetings or bored, don't know what to do. It's mid-morning, evening, 4 or 5 teas a day, and in a lot of that you add sugar. Right? So I'll give you like an example. I went to a corporate to do a seminar, and then we broke for lunch. And when we went to the pantry to just have some tea, green tea, water, whatever it was, this group of employees were having tea, and each one of them in these little small glasses, the paper glasses, put at least 2 or 3 teaspoons of sugar in that. Right? So these are unknowing ways that so much goes into the body. So keep a tab of sugar and also salt. So if you're eating foods and you add extra salt into your foods, that's something that is best avoided. And just embrace color a little more. Right? So when I say color, it's eating more fruit and vegetables. I think in India as a whole, we don't eat enough of it. Whether you're non-vegetarian or whether you're vegetarian. So these are just my 4 points that I feel, is important. And I think lastly is protein, because if you're vegetarian predominantly, we don't get enough protein sources in the diet. And protein is very, very important, one for immune boosting, and secondly to retain muscle tone. Right? Both of these things are very important for a healthy body. So yeah, these are the 5.
I think I missed one question. It's eating to be healthy, correct? But sometimes you get sick, you get a fever, you get a cold. I wanted to ask you that question actually, just as we wind up. When you are sick, do you still eat what you normally eat, or sometimes the taste buds also disappear during that time? So how do you keep your body, alive?
Well, at this point, it really depends. Some illnesses come with, say gut discomfort. So you can't really stomach too much food. You can't have spicy food. So I think first is stick to fluids if you can, because they're more easier to stomach. Right? So whether it is soups, like easy soup preparations, or fruit juices, at this time a fruit juice may be more helpful because you're hydrating your body and you're also getting some nutrition, because you can't eat so much. Right? Eating a food, like say everything in a soft form, right? Whether it's a porridge or whether it is like I said, khichdi, all of these can be had. So it's important to just make sure that you're not completely going, you're skipping meals. Foods will change a little bit because, like you said, taste buds, the taste gets altered. And if appetite gets lost, then, these are simple ways you can still make sure that you're eating, well balanced and nutritious meals. And also with fruits, like eating a banana, eating maybe an apple that is stewed, or at least this time, if you're sick during the mango season, you can definitely have, you know, all of that. But it's small things like this which you've, got to do in order to keep your energy and body and recover fast from your illness.
Okay, thank you. Like marriage, in sickness and in health, food is important.
Yes,
And
good. That's a good quote.
and Shona, thank you very much. I'm sure our viewers are very much enlightened, and hopefully they will eat healthy from today onwards. Less of KFC and yeah, keep your fingers crossed as much as you can. And I'm sure they'll be in touch with you also, because they have seen what you can do for them, and perhaps they will be in touch with you. But whatever it is, they need to eat healthy, stay home, stay safe. Thank you very much, Shona, for being on the show.
Thank you, Brian. Nice chatting with you.
Thank you very much.